In this video guide, we will cover how to create an item. You can create an item under the Items tab in the Manage Items page on the drop-down for products. When you're in the Items page, you have the Create Item button at the top. And when you click that, you have two options displayed. This option is to create a singular item. And this option is to create multiple items using an Excel template. Let's go over how to create a singular item first. Select Create an Item, and click Confirm. Here are the details that are required to create a SKU. Let's go through it. Item category. Let's select wine. Depending on the category that you select, different fields will not be applicable, such as varietal code if you are creating marketing material. In this case, let's select wine. The item number, or the SKU, is what will be represented in your POS system and come over on the data. So let's select the vintage, 2023, varietal code, Chardonnay. Notice how the varietal code does not specifically type out the entire name of the varietal. These are based off of details in our API. On the description, you have the ability to change and edit the description to match what it is displayed on the label, such as appellation, vineyard name, any additional details. It will begin to autofill as you fill the form out, but you can adjust it shortly. We'll just add the appellation here. It displays 2023 Chard, Russian River Valley. That's pretty generic, but I want to add the vineyard name. Okay. Add that name. Prairie Dog. I'm going to add the full name, 2023 Prairie Dog Chardonnay, Russian River Valley. Beautiful. Add the value. You do not need to add any dollar signs, decimal points, or anything. Just the simple value here, $45 for this bottle. It will add it in our system as it goes through the API to create the SKU. And same with the alcohol volume. Right, 14. These two boxes will indicate specific fields for a SKU. If it contains a wooden box and needs to ship in the wooden box, that is this checkbox here. If it is a SKU that is to be shipped as a full case only, meaning if you select one quantity of this SKU, that it will send 12 bottles or whatever the full case is, that is indicated here as well. When you select these, the drop-down will filter based off of those descriptions, such as with a wooden box, it gives details of 1 bottle, 1 liter, and a wooden box. You can change the details on the bottle size and the quantities of how many bottles are in the wooden box. And same with the full case. Here, there are details as the size and the quantity of what the case is. For this example, we're just going to do a generic 750, 1 quantity equals 1 bottle SKU. So here you can either click in this field locate the size, or you can just type it in. 750. One bottle, 750 milliliters. The number of bottles in a case, we'll add 12. Classification is still wine. Once this has been created, you can click save, and it will go through the system and display on our items page here under processing. At the moment, our team still has to go in once you've created the SKU to confirm the details are correct and allow us to be able to confirm the details and activate the SKU. So you'll see it as processing until it becomes a full active SKU. Now let's create a multiple SKU Excel file. Click create item, and in create multiple items there is a template and a file to give you additional details on how to fill that out. Let's download the template, and while that's downloading, I'm going to go back in and download the file as well. Wonderful. I now have the Excel file that is downloaded. I'm going to expand these so you can see the headers on all of this. And I also have the file to tell me how I can fill this out. The field is still the same as far as categories, item number, vintage, everything is the same that we saw on the previous single SKU creation form, but this is going to require manual entry onto the Excel template. So let's go through that. Going back to this form, we want to identify item category. So let's select wine. Go through and add wine. Let's create 3 SKUs. Perfect. Be aware that these fields must be specific, meaning the vintage, the varietal, the unit of measure, classification, all of these things need to say something specific, which is why the file guide is helpful to create this form. If there are any spaces in the data field, that will cause an error upon upload. So if we had a space here, which is very difficult to catch through the eye, it will create an issue with the item category on that SKU. So please be very careful while filling out the form. And the next thing is the item number. So let's go back. I want to create 23. Now, Russian River Valley. It's our generic vineyard blend. 23. Chardonnay, Russian River Valley also, our generic vineyard blend. And then let's throw in a single vineyard. So 22. And coinciding with our previous format, Prairie Dog. Cabernet Sauvignon. So here, the vintage, 2023, 2022, the varietal. Now, again, this is something that is very particular. So to help us, let's go back to that guide and see what we can find. Varietal code, field options listed here. Please use exact spelling provided on the list. Perfect. So let's click that here button. It's going to take you to our developer page. Now this can be accessed through ACP. If you're in ACP and would like the details on that, you can go to Order Sources and click API, and this will open our developer page. This can also be accessed on our wineshipping.com page. There is a tab for developer. This is public knowledge here. So the first SKU was a Pinot. So you can Control F and type in Pinot, and it will take you to all of the Pinots, Pinot Noir. So let's copy that, go back to our Excel, and let's add that there. Going back to the page, Control F again, and let's type in Chard. If you recall, when we did a single SKU, that was the varietal we used. Go back to the Excel, add that there. And lastly is the cab. As you can see, here's the Cab Franc, Cab Sauv. These are not fully spelled out, so we want to ensure that we can use the exact details. Make sure there are no spaces. You can do so by clicking into the field or highlighting. If there was a space, it would look like there was a gap there. The appellation, this is not something that needs to be exact, so you can write what you need to here. It's not a great appellation for Cabernet, is it? Item description. So if we go back to the single SKU, that was where it was auto-filling everything that we had filled out before. The item description helps the receiving team be able to identify the items that come through. If it is generic and you have multiple 2023 Pinots from the Russian River Valley based off of the item description, it is really difficult for us to identify which bottle is supposed to be for which SKU. So please be as descriptive as possible in the item description while you're creating the SKUs. So here we are just going to write what's on the bottle, which these are our generic vineyard blends. So we will have that, but this is where you can add the details. Here. Now the value, 55, 25, 75. Alcohol by volume, 13, 12, 14. Unit of measure. This is another tricky one. So let's go back to the guide to make sure we fill that information in correctly. Okay, we've added the description, the appellation, the value, and the alcohol volume. So the unit of measure, field options listed here. Use the code on the left side to indicate the unit of measure. So while creating the single SKU, we did look up the description. The unit of measure is not something that we want you to adjust at any point, which is why, if you recall, going back to the single SKU creation, it allowed us to select the description, and the code was a non-editable feature that auto-filled based off of the description selected. So in this situation, we want to be very careful with these details. Again, you have the one quantity equals one bottle of a 750 milliliter bottle of wine. This is the case SKU, so that indicates that that SKU is supposed to ship as a full case. And the case is only 2 bottles of a 750. And same with the wooden box. That SKU means that it is a wooden box that it must ship in, and that there are 6 bottles containing in it. So for these, we're just going to do our generic 750, 1 bottle equals 1 quantity. But to help us identify that, let's go back to the developer page. Use that hyperlink, which will automatically take you to the unit of measure. The unit of measure, you can see the table of contents here on the right hand side. The unit of measure is right above varietal codes. If we scroll down, you can see the varietal codes underneath it. So we've isolated each size of the bottle. So you can use Control F to quickly find a section within the unit of measure, or just scroll down. Here, 1 bottle, 750 milliliter. That is a 1 bottle SKU. That is shipping a single bottle. The 750-1, that means that it is a 1 bottle 750 case. There are differences based off of the systems that we've had over the years, clients creating SKUs, but the best SKU to utilize is our 750. So the code on the left is what we need in the unit of measure, which is simply 750. So here we will add 750, 750, 750. Number of bottles in each case. You will be as generic as you can and add 12. The classification is also a very particular item that is needed to be very specific through the API. So let's go back to that guide to look at the details on the options. So classification: still wine, sparkling wine, artificially carbonated, beer, bulk sparkling, cider, and other. In this situation, all 3 SKUs are considered still wine. So you can copy that directly from there, add, make sure there's no spaces, and fill it in below. Here we have created our items. We will need to next save this file so we can import. We have saved our file. We're back in ACP. Go back to the Manage Items page under the Products dropdown. On the Items tab, you have the Create Item button. Click that and select Create Multiple Items. Click Confirm. This will allow you to upload the file. So we're going to upload, go to where you have File, Demo Multiple SKUs, and Upload. As it's uploading, it will do a validation check and provide you with any errors and error messages as to if there's any problems with the details in the file. It will identify if the item category is not correct or is not supported by the system. You can go back into the file, check to see maybe there's a space or maybe there's a misspelling, anything like that, and you can adjust the file. Same with any additional details. If you receive an error message and you're unsure how to proceed, you can forward the file over to service or your account manager for additional assistance and eyes on the process. All 3 items were successfully created. You can click close and you can immediately see them displayed here. If you have any additional questions on how to create an item or how to create multiple items, please reach out to service or your account manager.